Welcome everybody to another episode of techn00bians, the best and only black game developer podcast on the Geekish Network. Today we're going to talk more about game development. And as you can tell, we added one more person. Say what's up to Leon Pryor. You say what's up, Leon. You can speak.
What's up, everyone? Leon Pryor, long-standing engineer, game developer, and jack of all trades.
We also have Shanae.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I've been in the game industry for almost 20 years, video game producer. Been at Capcom, Medway, Take-Two, a bunch of places, things like that. Good to see y'all again this week.
We have Cherie.
Hey everyone. I was in gaming for about 12 years. I'm no longer in gaming. I was over at EA. Now I'm working as a director of program management over a local tech firm and still love games. Great to see everyone.
We have Ryan.
What's up, y'all? This is Ryan. Currently actively still working in games, specifically PlayStation. But I also dab into comics. I'm also an artist for both Marvel and DC Comics.
And we have Travis.
He dabs in the comics. I like that.
You got that.
I've been drawing comics for like ever. And
I like that you dab
I dab
for
in
him.
the comics.
And
Yeah, out of here. Anyways,
26 years specifically. 26 years.
How long you been drawing comics, Ryan?
For 26 years now.
Yeah, so just so you know, people, that's a dab.
That's
No,
okay.
yeah, just keep at it. You'll get good.
Yeah, and one of these days, I think you'll
break.
make it.
I'll make
Yeah.
it one day. One day I'll make it.
When you can take the pebble from Ryan's hand, you can draw a comic.
Yo,
My-
Ryan, your
My name
career
is
in
Travis.
comics can go out drinking.
Yeah.
yeah,
You can rent a
It's not
car.
to get a
Yeah, it
drunk.
no longer has to be on your parents' insurance.
that's
Yep.
right.
Can't be on your
Yep.
parents'.
Oh, there you go. No more Obamacare, y'all, for your career.
Yes, Ryan.
You can only
Yes,
stay on there
Ryan.
up to 26.
Yeah. So
26 years. Do you not know this, Travis? Come on, I see. I know you know.
I'm
this.
trying to get through my intro. At some point, it'll happen.
Go for it, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams has the floor, y'all.
My name is Travis. I've dabbed into games since this is year 31 for me. I've been a game designer and a game producer for a long time, and continuing sort of the theme of games or systems that are important to me. That's why Zork has got my back this week.
In 4 more years, Travis, your career can run for president.
Oh,
But not yet.
but what party?
You know, Travis's
I mean,
career
that's
could
up
have
to
had
you and
babies
your
by
career.
now.
Are we making this a political podcast? Is that what's happening now? Because
No.
we can roll.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's in California, so it's got to be the rent is too high party.
Yeah, it's been that for a minute.
Oh, man.
We'll move on. We're gonna go into gaming news real quick, and I'm gonna bring up Nintendo because we didn't show Nintendo a lot of love last podcast. Travis, don't give me that look. Don't give me that look, Travis. We're gonna talk about Nintendo. So Nintendo's launching a lot of games. One of them they launched this week was Apex Legends, and it got a lot of feedback because it was missing
What kind of
some of
What
some of
kind
the
of feedback?
features that everybody expect to be in Apex Legends. Has anybody played it yet? Has anybody played it on the Switch yet?
I did not pick it up, but now I'm deeply curious.
Yeah. You can't call something a Champion Edition and leave stuff out of it.
I mean, the Champion Edition part, that's just good PR right there.
I'm just gonna
Pure
put
marketing.
that out there.
So I saw my son downloaded it for the Switch, and then a half hour later, he was downloading it for the Xbox.
Oh, that's harsh.
Wow.
All I really
Wow.
know about it.
By the way,
Wow.
Charles, I like how you introduced the segment and said, "Hey, we didn't show them a lot of love last week," and I think last week you literally said Nintendo hates its fans. So
I did say that. Don't judge me.
I'm not
I'm only
judging.
human. I'm only human. They don't love their fans. Obviously, when the game releases on your console, you should tell the developer, "Hey, don't leave out any of the features that everybody loves."
I just love that the theme this week is understatement. It's like,
Yeah,
how
no,
do we show them love? They
basically.
hate their fans.
you know,
I've dabbled in
I've
comics. I've
dabbled.
dabbled in video game dev.
yeah,
Just that's
yeah,
the theme this week. Just
yeah.
humble.
And
Humility.
Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Hmm.
Mm.
My biggest thing is, do we need more Skywalker sagas? That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Star Wars. Like Disney's never gonna stop making Star Wars movies. Star
No,
Wars
they didn't. They
properties.
just
No,
put
I
on
don't mind
billions.
Star Wars. I'm just talking about the Skywalkers.
Oh.
I mean, why not? I mean, they've been holding it down for like 4 decades, right? Like,
They have
why
been
are we
holding
gonna
it down
stop
for
now?
like 4 decades. That they have
Yeah,
done.
you know. I mean, Skywalker's been whooping ass for quite some time. I mean, they might as well keep the party going.
They are whipping some ass for
I've
sure.
never played any of the Lego anything games, and I hear they're rad. Would this be the one to sort of like dive into
That's a
that
good
like
question.
both them franchises with? What y'all
I'm
think?
trying to play it now. I didn't
Yeah,
know it was out.
Alright.
yeah, yeah. And the biggest game that I'm really excited for that they're gonna release, Famicom Detective Club.
Yes,
I'm
that's the
so
one I
excited for
want.
that game. Come on, Travis.
The
I
Bryan
love it.
sisters, tell me what? Tell me why. And I mean sisters by blood, not sisters cause they black.
I mean, both.
Both.
But both,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Both
yes.
of
Watch
them,
you.
both.
Yes, yes. Y'all can be both, but I want people to know that y'all sisters
Yeah,
by
we
blood
actually
too,
are
even though
sisters.
y'all look alike and sound alike.
And our names are Shanae and Cherie.
Yes, yes, yes,
So I'll
yes.
mention like one of the last games or one of the most recent games I played on Switch once the pandemic started up was Murder by Numbers, which is like it's kind of in the vein of like Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
Wright. You're kind of like just trying to like do like mysteries and trying to figure out puzzles or whatever. And I loved that game, and I've been looking for another game that's sort of like it since. I actually checked out, I went on the developer's website and I'm like, let me see what else these guys have made. The only other thing they've made is Fall Guys, which is like the furthest from Murder by Numbers. But I'm super excited to get another game that's sort of in that same vein of like Phoenix Wright, like just going through, telling
Mm-hmm.
you a story, trying to like
Mm-hmm.
just decipher clues. I love that sort of stuff. I don't know why.
Same, like +1 to everything that she said. I didn't play Murder by Numbers, but I watched her play it a whole bunch,
It was
and like helped out like from the side of like sidelines a little bit. But I saw Famicom Detective Stories, Detective Club, which by the way is a terrible name, but
it
I just saw it and I said that looks like Phoenix Wright. I will buy that twice. Also, I immediately like went on the iPad store and I was like, I feel like playing Phoenix Wright now. Like you guys just got some retroactive sales here
Yeah.
because it's been a while since I played that mess. But yeah, I'm excited about
I just
that.
want to know why Phoenix Wright isn't on any other console. That's what I
I
want.
can call some folks up.
I don't know. I mean, it's on. Yeah, it's Capcom that one.
Because it is a Capcom game.
Like I picked up one, the last one they released. I think it was the last one they released. I picked up on an iPad and I
Mm-hmm.
was playing it on that. And then I ran into a bug where the audio would not come through. Like it only came through headphones. It wouldn't play the audio just regular, just through the speakers.
Yeah.
I actually contacted support and they were like, "We'll get back to you." 2 years later.
So the game was so bad, basically, that they just wanted to keep it private, right, between you and the
It's
game,
an awesome
right?
game. I love the humor and stuff for like the Phoenix Wright game. I'm hoping there's something similar to that in like, Famicom Detective. There probably isn't, but I still, I'll still play it.
Objection.
Okay.
I'm-
Okay.
I'm
That's what
I'm
we're
willing
talking
to
about
chance
in
it.
game launches right now. That's the biggest thing we're looking for in game launches. Also, in gaming news, Roblox went public. Did y'all get in on that?
I did.
I
will.
tried.
I wish I had.
No,
Who said they did?
no.
I did. I bought some.
Okay.
Okay, lunch on Leon.
Oh no,
Thanks, Leon. I appreciate
House
that.
on Leon. House on Leon. You're
Yeah,
buying
That's
us
what
all
I call.
houses
That's
in
what I
Michigan
call
now.
lunch. Is just
I mean,
like a house in California.
The thing that kills me about Roblox is, my son's been playing it for years, and I've been watching him, and I watch all this IP in it, and I've always wondered, like, how have they not been sued, right? Like, how have they not been sued into oblivion? And I guess they're just saying, hey, it's all user generated content, but Yeah, no, they're they're trying to do the metaverse, right? Like they're right in right at it, and kids love it. All the kids, my son's school, all his friends, they all play Roblox. So I was like, yeah, I'll buy some
Mm.
of that.
Yeah,
Has
my
anyone on the
nephew's really
call gotten
big
it?
in it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Charles.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead,
I
Shanae.
was gonna say, have any of y'all played Roblox? I have not
Yes.
tried Roblox yet. So what's your
I've
personal
watched my
opinion of it?
nieces and nephews play,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's I'm like, ugh, right? Like it is.
How
It
do you really
just
feel?
like it just sort of reminded me of like a less elegant Minecraft, right?
Mm,
And but I can appreciate from an engineering standpoint like what's going on, and most kids that I see play don't even care about that, right? And so
mhm,
and so the crazy part for me is like um it really is taking a place of like toys, right?
Mm.
It really has, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for that.
mm.
Um, Especially when your nieces and nephews, you ask them what do they want for their birthday, and they say Roblox, and I'm
Nice.
like,
Get them
There.
kids Roblox.
what? Yeah. So, I can't knock the hustle.
And I'm pretty
Nice.
sure it doesn't want to be knocked at all.
Oh, it's
How
knocking
can you
all
not
right.
though? Yeah, I was reading up on this just recently about it too, because like $29 billion, right? Is like that was initial the valuation was like 29 billion with the B, but by end of day Wednesday, I think it closed at 45 point like just over 45 billion, like 45.3 billion.
Yep.
And to put it in context, because billion is like how much is $1 billion? Like a million bajillion bucks, right? So Roblox is at 45.3, Ubisoft 9.5, Take
Yeah.
Two 19.43 billion. EA is only at 38.09 billion. They have a bigger closing than Electronic Arts.
Yeah.
Yep.
At one point, I don't know what the statistics are now, but I remember at one point I remember seeing that one out of every 4 games that was sold in America was an Electronic Arts game. And these
Y'all know
folks
it's
are
really
closing bigger
crazy.
than Electronic Arts.
They raised 520 million right before they listed the
I
company.
saw that.
Oh, that's-
Man,
Everyone get
I gotta respect it.
520 million just because you're gonna list the company.
Why
I
not?
don't really understand. Like, I haven't looked at it or anything like that, so I don't really know a whole lot about the platform. But I just remember reading some articles about it in the past. I told like one of my coworkers, she said her son loves Roblox, and I was like, I just read an article in Roblox that was talking about how it's making all these teens into like millionaires because they're like monetizing it. And there was a story on like Business Insider. It was talking about like 3 teens who are now millionaires because of Roblox. And I told her I was like, get your son in on, on this.
Yeah, it's so
For
crazy.
real.
Like, you got
For
kids,
real.
get them in on this.
Yeah,
Let them take care
yeah.
of let them take care of you in your old age.
My
Ryan,
nephews learn how to
if that whole
code
comic
video
book thing doesn't
games
work
on it.
out, if that dabbling in the comic books doesn't work out,
Dabble
Roblox is a good
like
My
like
daughter plays Roblox every day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can Roblox take down Minecraft is gonna be the question. Or will they both coexist together?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good question. Do
And,
we lose?
and if it
do we lose
does,
a
I'm
Travis?
gonna come out with mind blocks and take them both down.
Excellent. Excellent. And you're asking
Rowcraft, Mind Blocks, and Rowcraft.
Yes,
Pretty
Roadcraft.
big.
you were asking how they hadn't been sued yet. Maybe it's one I don't know yet, but maybe it's one of those deals where you like just wait for them to make enough money. And
Bingo.
yeah,
When now they got money.
Lawsuit.
Before there was no point in suing them. Now it's like,
yeah. Like there's no point in enforcing your IP when you're not gonna make money off of it.
Right.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That's the way it goes. Did we lose a Travis?
Yeah, we did lose Travis. Hopefully Travis comes back in.
Man, he probably ran off to go buy some Roblox stock. Dude,
Yeah, that's
it's
probably
too
what he
late.
did. That's probably what
Smart
Travis
Too late.
did.
Man, right there.
Well, he'll pop back in when he needs to pop back in. We're talking about Sony now, so I can only imagine him popping in really quick. So Sony had partnerships with the black community. I don't know exactly what that means, but they partner with some
It's me.
black organizations in the black community. Number one, Black Girls Code. They partner with Black Girls Code. The Hidden Genius Project, Game Heads, and Black in Gaming to evoke
Nice.
long-lasting change by improving access to tech and game industry and building a better structure for black voices to be heard. What are y'all thoughts about that? What are some of y'all's thoughts?
I have opinions. Do I go first?
You go ahead.
I mean, no, I mean, I'm always excited to start seeing companies start, instead of just like doing their white text on black background, which was the last summer was all about white text on black background, and people saying we stand with the black community. It's like, cool. I don't need you standing next to me. I need you standing in front of me, and I need you to open that wallet. And this is what I see them opening the wallet. Now we'll see what it actually materializes into, like what it becomes. But I respect that they're putting money behind it. They're not just like, oh, we'll put our logo on some stuff and we'll release a shirt and we'll do like a diversity trivia once a year on February 15th because we forgot it was Black History Month, so half the month, right? Like actually opening your wallet, like that means like, what's that saying? Like you can tell me what matters to you, but if you show me your budget, I'll tell you what matters to you. That's what matters right there. That's what I'm excited about. I mean, and also as a part of the Black and Gaming organization, like I'm glad that name's up there. I'm looking forward to working with PlayStation and what else we can do this year.
I personally, I think it's really exciting, right? So a few years ago, I left the West Coast to move to Detroit. And one of the things that I've done in my free time is spend a lot of time promoting STEM, whether that's robotics or game development, and teaching that to kids in the area. Because a lot of these kids in Detroit don't know the people that make these games look like them, right? So any opportunity or mechanism that we can introduce to help get game development to kids in the area. And you're right? We're starting to see companies put their money where their mouth is. Apple opened up a technology center in Detroit, or they're in the process of doing that. So to me, the concept of having more people kind of coming in and making more resources and tools available to kids like the ones that I work with several times a week is super duper compelling. So, I'm hoping that, as these organizations reach out, that they're hitting the Atlantas and the Chicagos and the Detroits, and they're hitting these places that are kind of outside the tech mainstream. Because, a lot of this stuff, for example, I've seen companies in Seattle saying, oh, we're going to do a lot for Black kids in programming. It's just like, okay, the 3 Black kids in Seattle, all their parents work for Microsoft. So they're not really, they're not really the core audience you should be looking at. But let's talk about South Side of Chicago. Let's talk about Jersey. Let's talk about Atlanta. Let's talk about Detroit, right? Then you have an opportunity to actually change the directions of generations of families by introducing them to STEM, particularly when you're in places where there's no more manufacturing, right? So if we don't get these kids in white collar jobs, they're going to be pushing Uber for the rest of their lives, and that's what we don't want. So I'm excited if this translates into actual opportunities for kids in our communities. I'm all for it, and I hope I can work with Sony. I'm willing to do what I can to bring them to Detroit.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All that.
Anybody else have anything to say about Sony partnering and saying, "Hey, we have not the Black community"?
Welcome back, Mr. Williams.
Welcome back,
when your router decides that it doesn't like you, you have to.
There's too much blackness on the screen at one time.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Fix this.
We were pushing,
but I looked at my router and I'm like, come on, Link, says you black too.
I just figured you got eaten by the group.
Where it just wanted to black out.
I clearly I need more light.
Oh no, it's just terrible.
I'm really oh Lord.
Old people are gonna get this.
Yeah. He's so stupid. But I'm really curious about whether they contribute to all these organizations and how they choose to support these organizations. Not only is it monetary support, we need more than that. We need manpower to come behind it and support these organizations.
Yeah, I mean, as much as money is important.
Yes.
Time is there. Your opportunity.
Yep. Speaking of support, right? Humble Bundle raised $30 million in 2020 to a bunch of charities, and one of those charities is Black Girls Code. They're getting that shmoney.
Yeah.
Black Girls Code is getting that shmoney. They're not playing.
One of the things I'm really happy that a lot of companies are starting to do and put their money, because for a while, as companies started to realize that diversity was a thing that we should care about and that inclusivity was like different from diversity, they're like, well, we're going to go out and we're going to solve it ourselves. And it's like, no, you guys don't have to do the work yourselves, especially like places like Microsoft, right?
Mm-hmm.
We used to talk about the 98052 bubble, which is the zip code for Microsoft, by the way, which is, it's real. It's just, it's a bubble. It is
Yeah.
predominantly male, predominantly white. It doesn't have or see a lot of the structural and institutional problems that Black and brown folks deal with in society, much less in tech, right? So I'm glad I'm starting to see some corporations start to partner with organizations that have been doing this work for a while, because we know our problems. One of the things that's really critical when we talk about allyship and companies trying to be allies is, hey, we don't need you to solve our problems for us, but we do need you to support us in that battle, because you can't solve them for us, because it's literally not, you don't know what the problem is. You will define it completely differently than we will. And we're close to it because we're living it. So I am glad they're putting money behind it. I'd love to see them put more, like Travis was saying, put more people behind it as well, but put people who know how to partner with folks who are doing the work already.
Yeah.
Sometimes the problem is lack of support.
Oh my goodness.
Most of the time, that's the problem, right?
That is usually the problem most of the time.
And you know
Yeah.
what companies also need to do too, because like basically, like so many companies now have diversity and inclusion organizations or like initiatives or something.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Mhm.
yeah, we support this. Do it in your free time. Like, why is this a free time thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is
Pay,
this
pay
paid?
someone to do it. And
Pay
then
Right.
people to do it.
Pay someone.
Yep.
Especially if you've got, if the folks who are carrying it, which often, it's often the folks who are most marginalized who are really pushing to get those organizations set up. And now you're asking them not only to deal with like their normal racism and all the other stuff they deal with in their regular lives, but also to teach you about it. And you're going to say it's a volunteer org. That's always really like, pay people to do it and make sure and put money behind it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Black brown folks wind up having 2 jobs at
Yes.
work in these tech companies. Black women have 3.
And Black and brown
Like,
people,
all the
that's not
intersections is like
that's not
another
even the job of being black, and that's a full-time job.
It's a job. It winds up being a tax.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it can be exhausting. I mean, it's really important work, and people need to do it, and it's the only way we'll reach the mountaintop. But
It is exhausting
open-
work though.
Yeah,
I
open
tell people about
your wallet.
what I call the emotional currency of having to kind of deal with this and like explain stuff oftentimes, to folks. It's exhausting. It's exhausting just dealing with it, but then it's also
Mhm.
exhausting trying to kind of like advocate for it sometimes. We do need support and we do need like, we need other folks to be able to kind of pick up that shoulder the burden, I'll say sometimes.
Yep.
Yep.
All
Yep.
that.
To keep it talking, keep us going. We're not going to talk about companies giving away money. Let's talk about people making money. Microsoft confirms some future Bethesda games will be exclusive to Xbox and PC.
Was this a surprise?
Yeah. Meanwhile, water is wet. Hell is hot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they went on that
mean-
buying spree a few years ago. Like,
I mean,
fully
if I
expected
bought a
that.
company for $7.5 billion, all the stuff they're making is going to be exclusive.
Look, this actually this subject in particular gets into the heart of why techn00bians is a thing in the first place, actually. And it was because I used to champion Sony because I'm ex PlayStation, and Leon used to represent for Microsoft because he's ex Microsoft Game Studios, and for me, the one caveat I used to always tell Leon why Sony was better is because they have all the exclusives. They do. They have
Mhm.
teams working on exclusive things that you can know that you can't get on any other system, right? And
Yep.
all of the other companies, all the third parties made their games for both, right? And so it was like, what does Xbox have really that you need? And really, it boiled down to one game, maybe 2. Okay, Halo was for that was it for most people. Mine was Gears of War, right?
Yep.
Like I didn't turn on my Xbox if I wasn't playing Gears of War. Now, Microsoft just busted out the checkbook and said, I want you, I want you, I want you. And they just bought everybody that was good in the West and said, now what? And when you combine that with Game Pass, look, Microsoft is clearly not playing, and I am here for every single bit of it.
I think you cannot understate Game Pass enough at this point, because just with the announcement trailer, there were a whole bunch of Bethesda games that I just didn't get around to playing, where I'm like, oh, I have all those for free now? Oh, great, right? I mean, it's to the point now where, there's some things of a PS5 that interest me, but for the most part, I feel no urgency to look for a PS5, to seek a PS5, because Game Pass is feeding me so much at this point. I just don't have time for anything else. So, I think you can't underestimate, and I've said this before, Sony's been kind of playing the old game. Microsoft's playing the new game, right? Between subscription services and cloud computing, they're not looking at Sony and Nintendo. They're looking at Google, and they're looking at Amazon, and they're like, yeah, we're trying to get tomorrow's money, and they're really not playing, and they're making some very expensive investments to get there, and you always want to be careful when Microsoft's behind you. That is the most dangerous company on the planet when they have something to chase. When they get ahead, they stumble a little bit. They don't know how to lead, and we saw that in the last generation. But when they're behind, Microsoft's scary.
It's always that 3.0 with Microsoft, right? It's like if they make it to that 3.0, it's time to get scared. It's time to get scared because they're just playing with you with that 1.0. They're just kind of like, let me see whether or not I want to do this or not, right? And the 2.0 is like, I think we're learning. But if they say, okay, put some stank on it, man, look here. That 3.0 from Microsoft, you don't want any part of that.
Y'all think the console wars are starting back up again?
I think so, but it goes a little further than that as far as I'm concerned, because console as a term, especially when you start taking cloud computing into consideration, is ubiquitous, right? I mean, it like the cloud is everything. I mean, so the console as a traditional construct, I think is going to be challenged in a lot of ways, and Microsoft is everywhere. That is.
I think there's another piece that's confounding that, in that from a graphics perspective, yes, technology's gotten better, but not that much, right? It's not like we're going from the 2D to the 3D jump for the average consumer. They're like, these games look good. They can't really tell the difference. So we're at a point now where on a given release cycle, 10% of the games consume 90% of the revenue. So there's a lot of games that get left on the table that people don't play. And that's like adding to this library of Game Pass. So when Game Pass comes out and you're like, hey, I didn't play that Wolfenstein game, I can go back and play it. So I think the economics are shifting as well. You have these large libraries that you can access, and as Travis stated, you can play them in more places. I think the economics of the console war have changing. It's becoming more about libraries. It's becoming more about Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and what do you have in your catalog that I can just sit down and play. And that's very different than playing just the newest game that's out, which is kind of how we've been going for the past couple of decades.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this push towards like all digital game libraries and stuff impacts the whole concept of ownership and stuff as well. I know when we started moving from physical games to I was really hesitant to move from physical games, an actual box in my hand, to doing everything digital, whether that was for games, for movies, for whatever. And I finally got to a point in my life. I mean, you guys can't see it all, but there's boxes and some in this room and in my garage. There's boxes and boxes and boxes of games. And I got to a point in my life where I'm like, I don't want to get any more boxes. Like,
yes,
yes, space.
Yes.
But so I buy everything digitally now. Like now when I get like a box game, like I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do with this? I hope there's a code and there's a disc inside.
Leon, do you remember that conversation? We had that one too, right? Like because we were talking about we were talking about consoles, and I think my deal is that you have a Blu-ray player in the Sony console, and you've got a whatever the hell in a Microsoft one, right? And you were like, who cares about physical stuff? And I go, well, I do, player. But now I have not bought, and I buy a lot of movies, right? I have not bought like a physical movie disc in at least 2.5 years, maybe. It might be even longer, right? But I don't buy games at all through like physical games. I don't do it, period. And mostly because I hate GameStop.
I mean, if you handed me a disc, I wouldn't know what to do with it. My Xbox doesn't have a disc player. My
Right.
laptop doesn't have a disc player. I guess my gaming PC has one, but I don't even have any active disc players in the house.
I'm still
My
trying to
gaming
get
desktop doesn't have I'm kind of nervous. Aren't you? Like, I get sort of nervous, like, because I don't have a disk drive. Is that rational?
But, I was I won't go super into it or anything like that, but I was working with some folks on the academic side just a few years back because they were doing a lot of research on game artifacts. Like, how do we maintain the things that make games, right? Like, you guys can't see it all in this room, but this was my gaming room that became my office. And so there's burn books over here and like guidebooks. There's consoles. There's all kinds of artifacts. There's a giant freaking jetpack and a giant replica.
Jetpack. Wait a minute.
Jetpack. I worked on a game with a guy with a jetpack. We have his jetpack from.
Oh, I thought you meant like a real jetpack. I was like, what you hiding from me?
Have you put it on? You don't know if you can fly. I don't know either.
I'll
give it to you. You can strap it on and jump off the roof, man.
I'm starting to doubt our friendship that I have.
It's an unfriendship, my friend. But no, there's so much stuff in this room. Even there's artifacts from like how games are made, and there's an entire movement of folks who are trying to like not have that stuff disappear. Like, for example, when Capcom moved from Sunnyvale up to San Mateo, a bunch of stuff just went in the dumpster. When Capcom went from San Mateo to San Francisco, a bunch more stuff just went in the dumpster. Like that right behind me right here, you can see the little bit of it. That's a Devil May Cry replica sword that would have gone in the dumpster.
Wow.
If someone hadn't been like, "Hey, Sinead, you want to save this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to save that." So this is just talking the artifacts things around games that get made. But when we're talking about the actual games themselves, and we start moving console generations, does this stuff start disappearing?
So this leads into the next question that we all want to discuss. Will there be a need for a console in the future if everything's going to be in the cloud? When cloud computing comes alive and streaming becomes a thing with games, will you really need a PlayStation 6, an Xbox Y, whatever they're going to call it next time, the Series XS, whatever they call it?
It definitely has a lot of X's.
I think so. I think it will go from being mandatory to it is something that will further enhance your experience, right? That's what I think will happen, and it will be up to the game aficionados, for example, to determine whether or not that's necessary. I think there's probably going to be a generation like that to see whether or not that still holds any sort of value. But you have a whole bunch of cloud computing that happens beyond, behind the scenes with Siri and Alexa and so on and so forth, right? And so that it's helpful to have that physical manifestation next to you, because I think it makes things a little bit more real, and allows you to do to interact with your code in a way that is unique and special. But yeah, beyond that, I think it won't be mandatory, but I think it will enhance the experience.
I think
it also might depend on like the particular, like, I mean, we're talking about from a US centric kind of point of view.
I'll say,
like it's going to take a while, I think, for, there's different places in the world where like they don't have like the kind of like reliable internet connectivity that we have here. So I think for some places that, it might still, I mean, it might be just necessity for it, unless you're just going to kill off that whole segment of the gamer base, or just say, hey, you guys are stuck with the last console generation, and plus I think also it's going to largely depend, though, I think, on like what the perspectives are of like the big three, right? I think, sometimes I look at Nintendo, and Nintendo really still considers themselves a toy company. Nintendo still thinks that people just go and just always do couch multiplayer. That's like their big thing. And the funny thing is, like, over in Japan, that is still the bigger thing, is people like, like you still will see. I mean, I remember we were walking through trying to find a shrine once, and you saw kids,
Yeah.
like all gathered playing around the Nintendo Switch. You know,
Yep. This is
where
like where in like the I don't even where we
I
were.
don't
On
know, we were
some
lost.
residential area.
Nintendo has fully embraced mobile, so
Mhm.
cloud computing works in their favor.
Yeah,
You take
yeah.
our console with you. PlayStation did have that. They forgot shoulder buttons on it, and it failed.
True, but still Nintendo, like they still make consoles, right? Like they still have not relinquished. I remember every few years, 5 to 10 years, a rumor pops up and says, "Oh, somebody's gonna buy Nintendo. Xbox is gonna buy Nintendo. PlayStation's gonna buy Nintendo. Someone's gonna buy Nintendo, and you're gonna get Zelda on the PlayStation." And that ain't happened yet. Because one of the things that Nintendo tends to be really kind of bullish about is like they like controlling the device that you play their products on. So even as cloud computing starts to take off, I'm really interested to see how Nintendo very slowly adapts to that new world order,
Very
because
slowly.
I bet they're not going to try and relinquish control of that anytime soon.
You see
So-
that
so-
story where Microsoft went to Nintendo, and offered to buy them, and Nintendo laughed in their face?
Yes, it was so good. It was so good. I wish I could have.
Knowing those two companies, like seriously, it's like Nintendo and Microsoft walk into a bar, and the whole joke just writes itself, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I would have paid like a month's paycheck to be in the room for that one. I mean, I would.
I do want to get one quick thought in to actually kind of rebut Sherry's point, though, which is that you look at developing countries like India and Africa, where people don't have a whole lot of money to buy a console, but lots of people have phones, right? So I think in terms of expanding these audiences, there are literally billions of people that we could reach via a cloud computing network. Look what's going on with satellite constellation-based internet. Look what's going on with 5G. So the connectivity is actually spreading faster than the kind of economic ability to go buy a $500 console. So from that perspective, I think that could heavily kind of weigh the scales, right? Like if we get a billion new gamers who are coming in for streaming, who cares that you want your 8K in your house on your Xbox, 7S or whatever. So that I have to look at it that way. And that's the other reason why I look at Microsoft playing kind of the next game. Because man, if they could get everybody in India and Africa playing consoles, like, wow, you want to talk about EA selling copies of FIFA?
Yeah, just all of you, give me a nickel. Like seriously.
So I will
Right?
say it does depend. Like you see, if you see the types of games that Nintendo's put on mobile versus like the experiences that they put on their console, like that's the other thing they'd have to kind of reconcile for sure.
Yeah, does every game become a mobile style game? Because the whole mobile market, it's driven by monetization features like KPIs and re-engagement, retention. You don't have to like worry about most of that stuff when you've got a $60. Someone spent $60 on your game, they can play it or not play it. You got that $60,
if
right?
you give me $1, we can continue this podcast. Otherwise, we're gonna have to wait. For
that was one of the other things. I remember reading a story before about like what was the Mario game that Nintendo put on mobile?
Mario Run.
Mario Run,
Super
right?
Mario
Yeah.
Run.
Like I remember downloading that, and I was like, "Oh, but download this, and I'm gonna play it on the plane." And of course, I didn't, because I was about to go on a trip, and of course, I couldn't because they had to have like connectivity to actually play it.
Yep.
But I remember reading a story that said, because I think they like let you download like the first level or play like the first couple levels, and then you had to like pay like $10 to get the rest. And like seeing the drop off for the number of people who like played like the first couple levels and then never paid for the rest of it, they really have to really consider like the monetary model, like you were saying, Nay, about like there's a difference between paying $60 up front and then the company's got your money, and whatever you do with the game, whatever. You might not even want to play around with like any of the DLC or other, other options afterwards.
Yeah.
Versus like going to that free to play model, because like people don't expect to have to pay, 10, 20, 30, certainly not $60 for like a game that's on their mobile device, regardless of the development cost that was sunk into it or anything. It's just
Unless it's Travis and Rune's Terra.
yeah, unless it's Travis.
Look.
Seriously, I think this is
Don't
really
at me.
I will always at you, sir. But I think it's really interesting because I think that this will, like besides just like how this changes the landscape from a consumer standpoint, this will really, really impact the way in which we design and develop games.
True.
We're seeing a lot of that happen in the movie industry and the TV industry, right? That has moved, especially over this last year. Like previously you could make your tenant or whatever, and you could assume that people were going to go by the millions to view it in a large theater with hundreds of other people, big screen, surround sound. And now it's like, no, a lot of the, like a good portion of new content is being consumed on a tiny screen, on a phone, at your home, while you're multitasking. A lot of my friends who are in the who are in the TV and movie space, they talk about how the notes they get specifically are about, hey, I need you to change this because we have to make an assumption that someone's going to be binge watching this, as opposed to just like watching it, on a different sort of TV cadence.
Weekly
So
cadence.
we're gonna start seeing that kind of stuff. I think pop up in games as well. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I like it, but we better start planning for it.
I think having people consume media how they want to, as long as there's value added to it, is great. And how the market sorts itself out is largely going to be dependent on what kind of content the end users at the end of the day feel like is worthy, right? I mean, because I have paid $60 for Destiny, for example, and have paid additional monies for a better looking ship, or some items that I think are awesome. And how you present yourself digitally is really coming to a head lately. It really has, in a way that I didn't think was possible. But I got my first dose of it when I was on the Xbox ecosystem, and your avatars that you had represented. Leon's laughing because he remembers this, but this was when you didn't buy things straight up on the Xbox. You bought them with points, right?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I'm not buying any items, for my avatar. That's stupid. Until they made lightsabers. To this day, I don't know how much that lightsaber cost me. Neither do I care. I just wanted a lightsaber, right? And I think that's the quest. I'm sorry?
Who was responsible for that lightsaber?
George Lucas?
No.
It was Leon.
Quick side story.
Whatever.
At the
Leon
time,
took your money.
Microsoft did not want to allow weaponry on any of the avatars in the game. So you couldn't have the sword from Halo. You couldn't have the chain gun from Gears of War. The Xbox group said, nope, we absolutely cannot have weapons. And at the time, I was the account manager for LucasArts, who was like, come on, man, let us sell the lightsaber. So I found a Disney advertisement of basically a bunch of kids like lined up to see Luke Skywalker. And in the back of the line was Darth Vader, and he had a lightsaber behind his back ignited. So I sent an email saying, how you gonna tell me that your brand is more sacrosanct than Walt Disney? Within a week, we had the lightsaber on the store, and it's the best-selling item in the store.
And you had Travis's money.
Weapons came on Xbox avatars after that.
Yeah.
and so that's the thing, right? You just have to find what everyone's thing is, right? And that's the beauty, I think, of now so many different people making games and playing games, is those things will vary. And this is now your market, right? This is the open market. See what happens.
I completely agree with you, Travis. I just want to be a little curmudgeonly and say I don't like it. You remember when we had you remember when we did the switch from like when games like finally became online, right? I know since Travis made the first video game ever, I know you were in that time. But like games used to all be offline. Like you develop your game, you test it as hard as you could, you toss it over the fence, but like hope it's good, hope you like it. There's no such thing as a patch. There was certainly not a rapid patch system that you had to worry about. There was no such thing as like there was no DLC. There was no like ongoing. There was no nothing. It was kind of.
Remember how popular multiplayer was for the first Halo? Never patched.
Yes.
Never patched.
And my thing is like, it was kind of great as a developer to not have to be like, we're done with that one. Let's move on to the next one. And I'm not saying that the current landscape of games that we exist in now is bad or anything. It's just different. And I remember distinctly when I was like, just when when I've had to finally like accept that like no, everything's gonna have an online component somehow. Not necessarily a synchronous online component, but you're gonna have DLC, you're gonna have
Yes.
microtransactions, you're gonna have patches, you're gonna have like just ongoing support. So game development for most of your games, most of your big console games just never ends, right? And that's a different space that we're in. And I just don't think we've really as a professional industry really grokked like what cloud computing how it's gonna be another sort of leap forward in ways that we haven't even really considered, and that I don't
Yeah.
have to like. I can be curmudgeonly, darn it.
Like all I
A year of curmudgeoniness.
I think this all came to a head for me like 6 months ago when I turned on my SUV and it said, "Hang
Update.
on,
Yes.
we're patching." What?
What happens if you tell it no? Does your car just
I don't know. I was scared too. I was scared too. Like, who's gonna drive away when your car says it's patching? Nah,
tell it
bruh.
no?
Go
up
ahead.
there, and your
You
car
do
just
you
keeps
right
rolling.
now. I'm not trying to crash. I don't know what you're controlling. Okay, but I can assure you, whatever I had going on can wait.
That's kind of great and terrible, but great.
Hey, here's proof of that. Grand Theft Auto lasted across 3 consoles.
And they're still updating the game.
Yep.
The game
Wow.
is still
Grand
getting
Theft Auto 6,
updated.
what's that? who needs a 6?
It's the first cloud computing game that didn't use cloud computing. It's just there and it just lives. They're like, oh, we're not going to think about Bully or Manhunt or Warriors, any of these other games we have license for. We're just going to make Grand Theft Auto and this other game called Red Dead Redemption that does okay. It only makes $1 billion. It does okay.
It does all right. You know, it pays the bills every once in a while.
But to keep us moving, did y'all hear Beeple, the artist, the NFT artist, made $69 million on a sale yesterday?
Okay, I got questions
Okay.
about this. I got questions. Number one,
I have so many questions.
yeah, he made 69 million. Was it dollars or was it like $1?
$69 million. His
Ethereum.
art was purchased for $69 million. He didn't make that, but it was purchased for $69 million. The
How do
work
you
was
turn
called
Ethereum
Every
into,
Days,
like,
the first
real money?
5,000 days.
Yeah, like he like do like a drawing like every day for 13 years or something like that, and like I think it something like he never like 5,000 draws.
Well, I think I need to get started.
Yeah, we all need to get started. Oh, hey, Ryan,
Ryan.
favorite person here. Can I make a deal with you? I'll give you $100.
Okay.
I'm back here making some art so I can put up right now.
Okay. All right.
Ryan,
All right, hang
you
on.
are an artist for DC Comics.
Hang
So
on.
be mindful, because what did DC say? They were like, this guy made 69 million, but our artists, y'all better not do it with our artwork. We got plans to make that money.
Recently, DC sent out a message to all their artists that do not use any DC characters if you're planning to do anything in this venue. So they put out a little warning out there for everyone. So I wasn't planning to use any DC characters anyway, because I have my own personal stuff that I'm working on. So
Is it?
Hey Ryan, I got something for you. You should call it 26 Years of Ryan 2D sketches that I done every day, and you just do one part of the sketch on every sketch and post it up into a big tile picture.
I mean, is it safe to say, like, seriously, like after that transaction, digital shit really just got real? I mean, like,
yeah.
I mean, I remember
like it really, and I can't understand it. I'm like, wait a minute, hang on, player. A JPEG
that's the thing.
went for $70 million.
70 million, baby.
Like, I'm trying to right click on the whole universe at this point. I am not playing. You don't know. I'm like, yeah, like, because look, can I just can I just give you a copy for like $100 or something like that? Come on, help a brother out. I mean, for real. Like, explain this to me. Somebody explain this to me.
Well, it's not on the canvas for sure. Christie's listed it. In the 250 plus years they have sold art, they've never sold a purely digital piece of art. And this one did sell. It's mind-boggling.
Didn't this one start at like $100 also? I think they listed it for like 100 or something, and it
Started super low.
yeah.
They thought it hit highs of 14 million. Then all of a sudden bids just start pouring in. They're like, okay, we'll sell it for 14 million. That's not bad. We'll get our 14 million off of a JPEG, and then all of a sudden it just poured in to 69 million.
Wait.
But this really isn't actually new, right? Because when you pay for art, ultimately you're paying for effort, right? You're paying for the time and the creativity that the artist put into a work. There was a time when no one had paid for a photograph, right? Like, I'm not gonna pay for a photograph. That's not fine art. It's got to be on canvas or oils, and if somebody sold a photograph, right? And now you can do that. So I think it's just another transition that we've seen from media, where people are now seeing the value of the work that that artist put into that digital work, and now it's got a dollar tag. It's just mind-boggling because digital work is so easily duplicated, right? Control C, Control V, right? Your uniqueness is now zero. So I think that's kind of hard for us to accept. But at the end of the day, you're paying for an artist's time.
I feel like
Sorry, if I just mentioned, I was gonna say I could see like that. You know, I totally agree with you in terms of like we should be paying artists for like their effort and their work and their expertise and stuff like that for it. I mean, I think anyone who's done commissions before has probably had somebody ask, "Hey, can you just draw this thing for me for free? It's so easy for you. Why can't you just do it real quick?" You know. So I think everyone, like, I'll pay you an exposure or whatever.
On my tattoo.
The thing for this that blows my mind is like, I don't know how you measure like this was $69 million worth of effort. You know what I mean? For one thing, you know, and the other thing is I have a feeling that there's a little like shenaniganry going on there, kind of like the whole like let's send GameStop's stock to the moon. You know, I feel like there's a little bit of that in here. Like I would like to see this repeated. Is this repeatable?
Cherie, you need to make it repeat.
I mean,
Black Woman Magic, and that should be the name of your art piece. And you just throw up all your blackest woman pieces ever and put them into one collage.
Closer, just waiting to go
now.
I don't think techn00bians is art, y'all.
I'm not even having that sort of issue as much as I'm having an issue with the fact that I can copy this.
Mm-hmm. It's
I
artificial
can do that
scarcity.
for every painting that a Christie.
It's artificial
scarcity. I know, but
what
is it?
Marketplace.
So like I said, like I intentionally went into this discussion without doing a whole bunch of research on this topic, right?
It's like every discussion,
practically. But this one, I really meant it. So, like, honestly, like, if this reminds me, and I'll try to make this quick, like, when I first met Bill Shatner in person, I'm at Acclaim Entertainment and I'm working on Alien Trilogy, and I hear in the back of my, you know, like, "Hi, I'm Bill Shatner," and is that what okay? I keep hearing it. "Hi, I'm Bill Shatner. Hi, I'm Bill Shatner." And I'm like, but it sounded like him. But I was like, I'm tripping. So I keep typing. And then all of a sudden I hear, "Hi, I'm Bill Shatner." It's right next to me. I turn, it's Bill Shatner, right? And he is real sunburned and wearing this really crazy Hawaiian shirt. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he says, "What are you doing?" And I'm thinking to myself, why is Captain Kirk asking me what I'm doing at work? Like, I don't even know. Okay. So I explained to him that we got a new build of the game and I'm downloading it, right? And he says, "What is downloading?" Now, granted, this is 1994.
Well, it's the opposite of uploading.
Right? And so I explained to him the concept, right? And he says, "So, you made an exact copy?" And I said, "Yes, an exact copy," right? And then I said, "Didn't you write Tech War?" And he was like, "Of course." And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. So I got to get back to work. right? So the point I'm trying to make here is that
Fuck William Shatner. I gotta get back to work. Thanks.
yeah, like seriously, dude, I got to get back to work. I can't explain it like anymore. But I had an exact copy. So now that I've got an exact copy of this $69 million JPEG, why can't I sell it for a tenth of that and then stop working? Period. I mean, help me out.
That is also the baffling piece of it. I mean, the whole, I shouldn't say the whole benefit, but one of the benefits of digital art is, yeah, you can have exact copy, like that
Lost
has the same
copy
quality.
that you pass
Yeah, no loss of quality. Like that's one of the key features of digital.
Look,
So
look,
it's interesting to
look,
take.
Travis, if you can get a copy of that Wu-Tang album, you can sell that too.
Don't think I haven't been looking.
Grimes sold a music video vids for 6 million.
No one is answering my question.
So the original, like, you're not getting an exact copy because the whole process of minting like adds additional data to it, and there's only one of that minted original version. That's what you're buying. You're buying the quote unquote original
The
that
uniqueness.
has that single minted stuff with it.
Yep.
Can someone copy the actual visual thing? Yes, they can't get the little minted doohickey thing along with it. Now, for all our intents and purposes, like if you got the JPEG, you got what you wanted. You didn't necessarily want the minted whatever. Like you got the JPEG, you can put it up on Redbubble and make a shirt or whatever with it, right?
Yeah, what do you do with the image once you get it? That's the thing. What do you do with it? Do you buy the rights? Are you just going to turn around and capitalize on it or something? I mean,
That's what I think this whole thing is really curious, and that in some people described it as a bubble, some people described it as just a scam, like because it's like, okay, $69 million spent on it. This puts the one gentleman, sorry, what's his name, Beeple, like he's now like one of the top 3 artists, like value wise, in the world, like based off of the sale of this piece of art. So it's like, what does this really tell us in terms of art value or not? Is it just telling us that rich people have money and sometimes they got so much and they can't figure out how to spend it, so they spent $69 million because they can? Right? I'm not really sure this tells us how much art is worth. It just tells us how much rich people like spending money.
well, I tell you what, anybody out there who understands this, you call me, I'll do the art, we split the profits.
Real.
Yes.
I'll do all the art. You don't do
If someone
anything.
wants to give me $69 million also, I'm more than happy. I'll even take 68 million.
To bring this back into video games, some game artists are not happy with the developers selling their artwork. Like Roar, he was a creator of the indie standout games like Passage, The Castle Doctrine, in 1 Hour, One Life, and then the artwork debuted on an NFT auction called the Crypto Doctrine. And it's a Dutch auction, meaning the prices start high and fall over time. It launched with 155 paintings that Roar originally commissioned in 2012 for the use in the Castle Doctrine, a controversial game about home defense. And he's not happy that this developer decided to sell his artwork, and he doesn't get any of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy either. I mean, because if you think about it, your art is that's who you are. It's an expression of who you are, and for even if you're contracted to work for a company, it's still your art. Unless there's like some specific clause or license that was created or roll out in the beginning stages of this, then I can understand. Okay, yeah, this company has like all the rights and the artists. They've turned over all the rights, but it's your art. Once you've done your art, man, it's yours.
Is it?
So
That's the
it
thing I'm
is.
interested to
Well,
see.
I mean, the reason why I asked this question is because then it starts actually going to the heart of who owns creativity, period, right? Because, for example, I'm a writer and I'm a designer and a producer, right? But what parts of those things can I own, right? Like I made this decision, or I created this character, I did this or I did that within the confines of you working on someone else's intellectual property as a work for hire person, right?
Travis,
And
I now own all Gantt charts, by the way. I don't know if
oh,
you were trying, but those are mine. I just minted them.
Damn.
So just pass it along to your friends. They gotta pay me.
Okay, all right, I'll do that. I'll send you a check. But I mean, that's really, I mean, that's what we're dealing with, right? And I think that we're used to artists, feeling that way and getting that carve out. But really, you need to start asking yourself. I mean, for example, there's Batman, right? But then there's Frank Miller's Batman, right? Is there a difference there? Where do you draw the line? And I'm not sure we're ready to have that discussion yet, but I think it is something that should be discussed as people start thinking about who starts to own intellectual property and all the different variants or
Well,
that combine to make it.
and as kind of the one of the engineers here, I mean, the same thing goes for code, right? At the end of the day, writing code is a creative endeavor.
Sure is.
And if you've really written something big, you recognize that that's the case. But there's no question that if I write code for a company, that's their code, right? I've got zero rights to Microsoft Windows. And now the knowledge and the skills that I use and the approaches I use, yeah, sure, those are in my head and I can apply those to other things, but no one questions that's Microsoft's or Amazon's or whomever.
Yeah, that's a challenging thing. I mean, I agree with Ryan. Where like if somebody sold my art, I wouldn't be happy about it. But at the same time, it's like I want to see what the contract agreement, what the agreement said. This
Yeah.
is the reason why artists, we have to make sure, like if we are selling commissions and stuff like that, we have to make sure that we make it clear that I still own the copyright for this art. I still own this, even though you are like, you own this print or you own this piece or whatever, right? But if I want to reproduce it, I have the right to be able to do it. I think that was like a little, just to bring it back a little bit to games. That was one of the things that was like a conversation for quite a while with regards to GameStop, because when GameStop was like reselling games, there were a lot of people, particularly in the industry, who were very upset because they're like, well, GameStop is taking this game that came out a week ago and they're selling it for $5 under the new list price, and they get the full amount, and we get nothing. And
was GameStop the original NFT?
Yeah, GameStop was the original NFT.
That's a question.
Your stuff a week after
Technically,
launch.
Yeah.
Damn you, GameStop!
But how's that model working out? I actually remember having like some debates with like folks at work before about it, because they, I'm the developer side. There were a lot of folks though who really felt like GameStop should give a percentage of the cost of the purchase price to developers. And I was actually a little bit on the other side of it, because I was just like, well, why would they do that? Like, I mean, first of all, they're a business, so they're not going to offer it.
Yeah.
I was like, but why would they do that? I mean, I get like, it's a little bit, it sucks for us as developers because they're just selling the game for like a couple dollars less, and people will buy the one that costs a couple dollars less. It's a good model for GameStop. But I was like, but it also kind of maybe forces us to kind of like innovate and think about what other things we can do. And I remember EA at that time, then they came up with their EA Game Pass, which prevented people from using the online features unless you paid EA. And I was like, that was brilliant.
Yep.
People got real mad about that, but it's like it all goes
I
back.
Loved it.
Mhm.
I loved it. I was like,
I was
well
one of the
played,
people-
Electronic Arts.
Well played.
Well
Well
played.
played. And
So-
I think that's what other folks need to do. Go ahead, Nay.
I was
No,
gonna
I
say
think,
two-
I think to bring this back around to what Travis was saying too, like you said, this is a conversation we don't want to have. This conversation needs to happen right now, right? Because
Yep.
this is a completely unregulated market. I've seen so many of my
I'm wrong again, by the way.
but I'm seeing so many of my artist friends. This conversation about NFTs is really, really heated up even in the last week, and they're going on and they're posting and saying, "Hey, I just found somebody somewhere in the world minted my art, and now they're selling it like on the blockchain." And it's like, that sucks. Simply put, there's no regulation of actual ownership. Whoever spent that $69 million on that piece of art, that's cool, but there's no actual way to, besides him saying this is mine, there's no way for him to enforce that because there's no actual legal teeth behind any of this. And I think this is going to come back and bite us all in the butt really soon. And we would be completely remiss, by the way, in not talking about the environmental impact of this, because it's really, really, really costly to actually mint a single Bitcoin fun buck, whatever you want to call it, and stuff as well. I think they said that like one Ethereum is the equivalent of 4 days of electricity in order to get one Ethereum. And so once again, what I said earlier about how this might just be a new way for rich people to to spend their money. Well, the environmental impacts tend to hit a lot of poor folks and a lot of folks who are already marginalized. Like, I mean, we just saw like freaking blizzards in Texas like 2 weeks ago. Folks with resources were hit hard, but weren't hit nearly as hard as the folks who don't or were already on the margins. So it's pretty cool that folks are like having fun with like the, digital ownership and having ethereal conversations and aspirational conversations about what this can mean. We're kind of seeing some of the environmental stuff around it too.
First world problems.
So as far as art is concerned, what is what are y'all drawing for real?
Ooh, yeah. What are you guys drawing? You guys have been drawing for the last hour. It's gotta be good.
What are y'all drawing?
Who gonna see first? Who gonna see first?
Let's see Cherie first.
Cherie.
Yeah, like
Show us,
Ryan,
Cherie, what you got up there?
Go for it. Let's see it. Let's see what are you drawing? What are you drawing, Wonder Woman?
I was just doing some little scribbles about of us actually.
Yes.
That's what I was working on. I was working on some little drawings, so I'll show you a couple of them here. Let's see if it actually shows up. I don't know if it actually shows on the iPad. Let's see if
I can lower the brightness on your iPad.
Yeah, I'm lowering.
Because it's like glowing.
Oh, it's just
close.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Oh.
See these?
And I did one of you also, Nay. I'll show the.
This is the debut. I'm her twin sister, but I have not seen
Nice.
Yet.
Yeah.
I really
That's
like
because
that.
you probably
Nice.
ruin it if you did.
That's my face. Oh.
There you go.
There
you go.
These look good.
Look at that crayon. Look at that crayon.
Yeah, your crown is giving me some challenges here. So.
As it should, it gives me challenges, but it looks so good.
Yeah, I have to figure out a good way of I got to angle it to try what. How do you pick it up? Let's see what Ryan is drawing though.
By the way, you should post all these. Everyone, like whoever can post their stuff up on the Twitters and that kind of stuff, so that we can be like, we'll go to Twitters and see
what was it this week?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Ryan.
I can show some
man, if you don't do it,
like that. All right. I'll do a screen share. I was just doing some cleanup work on this. This will be a screen share because it's all digital.
I think we're getting a tiny bit of feedback, by the way, from somebody's side.
Okay. All right, here you go. I'll just share my screen on this one.
It's be like $69 million right here.
No.
I'm gonna screen cap it and then I'm gonna mint it. Oh, that's looking nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Wolverine.
Yeah.
Logan is a samurai, and he's. I'm just doing the cleanup on it because I'm gonna prep it to cut.
Why'd he cut his hair though?
He's not a good samurai. He just he swung past his hair and gave himself a haircut.
Probably. It was probably
So
that looks amazing. Wow.
He's got so many blades. That how can you not cut his hair?
True.
Yeah. It's my man Logan.
The shuriken went by, which was like.
Nice.
Sometimes I hate you both so much.
Oh man, well
I could draw that though. That's easy.
Somebody who knows NFTs, call me.
Did you mention it just now?
No. If you want to go with the true NFT spirit, they won't call you. They'll just
They'll just screenshot this and then sell it to like.
I'll even go 80-20. I'll do it.
Did y'all see actually
on
some
69 million? You go 80-20?
Yeah, folks were minting tweets, and they were minting not their own tweets; they were minting other people's tweets.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this market need like whatever you guys say
It's the
about
Wild West. It is definitely the Wild West.
Real.
So everybody should get their money now. I'm about to go get Bernie Mac's old tweets and mint the hell out of them and sell them.
Just mint all that stuff,
and
then
Robin Williams.
When the earth is literally on fire. Keep yourself warm with, I don't know, put the money around you as a coast.
You get the last tweet of everybody that died and call it Minted Mortuary.
Oh.
You sell them.
Ooh.
Bye, Felicia.
I like that name.
No, that's
Minted
so dark.
Mortuary.
That's so dark.
With
On that note,
with that said, because we had a lively discussion today, we didn't get into some other topics and other questions I wanted to ask, but I couldn't stop the discussion. I just wanted to listen to you all talk because it was so informative. What is everybody playing right now? I'm playing Hades. I don't know about y'all, but I'm playing Hades.
Great game.
excellent game. I just started the Pathless last night, which is a game I've been really interested in playing for a while. I play mostly indie games just like you, so I did Hades and the Pathless, and yeah, not too far into it. We'll see.
I'm playing the drone simulator Liftoff because I've got a new FPV drone.
Ooh.
And I really would like to not crash it at 100 miles an hour. So we're gonna put in some stick time on the sim before we take that thing up to full manual mode.
Smart man.
Yes.
So I'm playing the new what People Can't Fly game that
Outriders,
and it seems like if you did like Gears of War, try this, right? So yeah, so we'll see. I mean, so far it's been decent. It's been highly decent. It's kind of funny to see Gears of War gameplay that heavily influenced PlayStation title. Right? So we'll see.
Is that out yet, or is that just on?
No, it's apparently it's just the demo, but the demo is such where if you like the whole game, you don't have to go back and replay that. It's part of actually the main game, which I really appreciate.
Nice.
I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima and dying repeatedly.
Yes, in the Legends mode, right?
Yeah, Legends mode in the single player. It don't matter.
Yeah,
beautiful.
You're asking for it.
Beautiful game. I love it. I'm just hopefully I can find a little bit of time on Sunday to get to play a little more.
Are you playing on the PS5?
PS5s are a myth.
PS5 exists. I mean,
you're not, huh?
It would be if PS5. I haven't seen one. Do you have one behind?
I do.
He has one, and Leon said he didn't want one. Leon, if you come across PS5, since you say you don't want one, just pass it over here. Share love, I'll take one.
The Brian household needs a PS5. They need two of them.
Hey, Ryan.
Let them tell you.
Definitely need one. I have 4 PS4s and no PS5s.
You combine those?
If you combine them in one PS5, it's like Voltron.
Yeah, you can't make a PS16.
It'll be. I know. It'll be PS16. That's exactly what it'll be.
It's got a daisy chain to
back one to each arm and leg for weight training, and then.
So I'm playing Tsushima, a little bit of Lego Avengers, and also I've been watching my daughter play Roblox a lot, so I'm just having fun.
Get that stock. You already invested in it. Get the stock. Your daughter's investing her time.
Yeah, I know. I already did. Trust me. While we were on this call, I was buying.
Smart man.
I'm just getting in there.
So apparently he wasn't drawing Wolverine full time.
It takes like 2 minutes
Roblox
to buy that stuff.
Nice.
Anyway.
With that said, I'm going to close out the show. Thank you guys, as always, every week. This is one of the best shows I like being on. It's such a pleasure. We are very family oriented in this show. Next time we got to bring drinks. See what happens.
Wow! All right.
Oh, do it.
Why do y'all have matching cups? Why y'all have matching cups? Why y'all just do the same move again?
Because my mom bought these for us.
Okay. But y'all did the same hand movement too. I feel triggered right now. I'm looking at the same person but different.
Pedal harder.
I'd like to thank Leon, Cherie, Shanae, Travis, and Ryan for showing up to techn00bians. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to know more about techn00bians, go to www.techn00bians.com. Please follow us here on Twitch. If you like our vibe, you want to learn more about game development and everything geek, please consider subscribing to the Geekish Network. If you have Amazon Prime, it'll cost you nothing just to subscribe to us if you haven't subscribed to anybody else. Also, please follow us on all our socials, the Geekish Network on all our major platforms. And when you see the Technubians, if you see the flyers, you can actually reach out to them on their socials. And we will be hosting clubhouses. And we will be hosting clubhouses in the Geekish Network, but also you can catch most of us in the Black and Gaming Room on Clubhouse.
Sure can.
Make sure to enter our PC giveaway contest. Details